My granddaughter called me last week. She was worried. Music Grandpa S., she said. You've been home for 3 days straight. Are you okay? Are you depressed? Do you need me to come over? I laughed so hard I almost spilled my music espresso. Sweetheart, I told her I'm not depressed. I'm happy. This is what happy looks like when you finally figure it out. She didn't believe me, and I don't blame her, because when you're young, staying home feels like giving up, feels like you're missing something, feels like life is happening out there and you're in here alone wasting it. But here's what nobody tells you. What took me decades to understand. There comes a point in life when staying home isn't hiding, it's arriving. My name is Salvatore Benedetto, and I want to talk to you about something most people get completely wrong. The psychology of why some of us, especially as we get older, genuinely love being home, not because we're scared, not because we're sad, not because we're waiting to die, because we finally understand what home actually is. Let me start with something that might sound strange. Not everybody is built the same way. Some people, they need noise. They need crowds. They need action and movement and chaos to feel alive. Turn off the music, empty the room, and they start to panic. They call this being an extrovert, but that's just a fancy word for saying their battery runs on other people's energy. Then there are people like me, like maybe you. We recharge in stillness. Every conversation, every social event, every trip to a crowded place, even the good ones, slowly drain something out of us. And the only way to fill it back up is quiet, solitude, home. This isn't a flaw. This isn't depression. This is just how some nervous systems are wired. My wife, Gloria, my second wife, God rest her soul, she was the opposite. She loved people, loved parties, loved having a house full of her grandchildren running around screaming while she cooked enough food to feed an army. That woman could talk to a stranger for 3 hours and come home more energized than when she left. Me, I'd come home from the same party and need to sit alone in my chair for an hour just to feel like myself again. For years, I thought something was wrong with me. I'd push myself to be more social, force myself to go out more, tell myself I was being antisocial, unfriendly, a bad husband for not matching her energy. Then one day, I must have been in my late 70s, Gloria sat me down and said, "Stop pretending to be something you're not. You're not broken. You're just different from me. Go sit in your chair. I'll tell you about the party tomorrow." She understood something I didn't. You don't have to apologize for how you're built. So here's what I want you to hear, especially if you're someone who prefers quiet. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to force yourself into situations that drain you just because society says that's what living looks like. Some people need the party to feel alive. Some people need the silence after. Both are valid. Now let me tell you something else about staying home. For a lot of us, especially those who've lived long enough to know how unpredictable the world can be, home isn't just comfortable. It's controllable. Out there, music any can happen. Plans change at the last minute. People say things you didn't expect. The weather turns. The traffic snarls. Someone cuts in front of you in line, or says something rude, or asks you questions you don't want to answer. But at home, you control the lighting. You control the noise. You control who comes in and who doesn't. You control whether the TV is on or off, whether there's music or silence, whether you eat at 6 o'clock or whenever you damn well feel like it. For people who've spent their whole lives dealing with things they besom couldn't control, and believe me, I've had my share. That sense of control isn't a luxury, it's medicine. The shop woman, back when I still had the shop woman named Harriet Walsh, came in every Thursday to have her shoes polished. Same pair of brown loafers every week. I told her once, Harriet, these shoes don't need polishing. You were just here. She smiled and said, I know, but I like the routine. Harriet had lost her husband in Korea, raised a crazed alone, worked 2 jobs for 30 years. By the time I knew her, she was in her 70s, and all she wanted was a life she could predict. Same shoes, same polish, same day of the week. She wasn't sad. She was peaceful. She'd earned the right to a life without surprises. And maybe you've earned that too. Maybe you've spent decades dealing with chaos at work, at home, in relationships that demanded everything from you. And now the idea of a quiet day with no obligations sounds like heaven, not like prison. That's not giving up. That's wisdom. But here's where I have to be honest with you, because there's a difference, an important difference between staying home because leaving feels too heavy. One is peace, the other is hiding. I know the difference because I've done both. After Anna Maria died, my music first wife, she was 28 years old, died on a Tuesday afternoon while I was at work. I didn't want to go anywhere. For music months, I stayed in that apartment Y, and ever I wasn't at the shop, didn't see friends, didn't visit family, just sat there staring at walls, because the idea of being around people who might ask how I was doing felt unbearable. That wasn't peace. That was grief turning into isolation. That was hiding from life because life had hurt me too badly. It took years, and my sister Rosa threatening to drag me out of that apartment by my ears before I understood the difference. So here's the question I want you to ask yourself. When you feel full, or do you feel empty? When you cancel plans, is it relief or is it dread disguised as relief? When you look at your four walls, do you see a sanctuary or a cage? Be honest, really honest, because the answer matters. If home fills you up, if you wake up on a Saturday with nothing planned and feel genuinely happy about it, then celebrate that you're not broken, you're just someone who knows what they need. But if home has become a place you hide because the world feels too scary, too overwhelming, too painful, that's music different. That's not preference. That's a wound that needs tending. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just an old man who's lived long enough sometimes what looks like contentment, that sometimes what looks like contentment with a exactly numbness. And numbness isn't peace. It's just pain with the volume turned down. If that nays you, please talk to someone, not because there's something wrong with you, but because you deserve to feel actually okay. Not just okay, not to get through the day. Now, for those of you who genuinely love being home, who aren't hiding, who aren't depressed, who just honestly prefer a quiet life, let me tell you what I've learned about how to do it well, because there's an art to it, and most people never figure it out. First, build rituals, not routines. Rituals, there's a difference. A routine is something you do because you have to. A ritual is something you do because it means something. Every morning, I make espresso in the same mocha pot I've had for almost a century. Same pot, same process, same cup. I don't do this because I'm stuck in my ways. I do it because that 10 minutes of making coffee is sacred to me. It's how I start the day. It's how I honor the morning. Gloria used to hum while she cooked. Same, 3 songs while she cooked. Same 3 songs. In the same order every time. I asked her once why she always hummed those particular songs. She said they were my mother's favorites. When I hum them, she's with me in the kitchen. That's a ritual. That's turning a simple act into something that feeds your soul. So here's what I want you to do. Find your rituals. Maybe it's how you make your tea. Maybe it's the chair you sit in to read. Maybe it's the walk you take every afternoon. Maybe it's the walk you take every afternoon. Same route, same time. Whatever it is, do it with intention. Do it with presence. Let it matter to you. People who love staying home aren't doing nothing. They're doing everything just quietly in ways that don't show up on social media. Second, pay attention to the small things. This is what young people miss. They're so busy chasing big experiences, the trips, the parties, the bucket lists that they walk right past the beauty that's already in front of them. You want to know what makes me happy on a regular Tuesday? The way morning light comes through my kitchen window and hits the counter. I noticed it for the first time maybe 10 years ago, even though I'd been living in that apartment for decades. And now I look for it every morning. Just that patch of golden light on the wood. It costs nothing. It takes 10 seconds to notice, and it makes me smile every single time. Or the sound of rain on the fire escape, or the smell of bread from the bakery 3 blocks over, the bakery 3 blocks over, or the way my chair cacks when I sit down, same creak every time like an old friend saying hello. People who love staying home aren't bored. They're paying attention. They've learned to see what most people are too busy to too busy to busy to musically notice. Look around. What's beautiful that you've been walking past? Third, but don't is. Oh, late. This music is a tricky one. You can love being home and still need people. You can prefer solitude and music still need connection. The danger, especially as you get older, is letting solitude turn into isolation without realizing it. One day you're enjoying a quiet week at home. Then it's a quiet month. Then it's been 6 months since you've seen anyone but the delivery guy, and you tell yourself you're fine, but something feels hollow. I call my daughter Lucia every Sunday without music fail. Even when I don't feel like talking, even when there's nothing new to say, because the call isn't really about information, it's music about tethering myself to someone who loves me. It's about staying connected even when I don't feel like I need it. Because here's what I've learned. By the time you realize you're lonely, you've usually been lonely for a while. So build connection into your routine. 1 call a week, 1 visit a month, 1 person you check on who checks you can't be alone. Not because you can't be alone. You can, but because humans aren't meant to disappear entirely. Music and the ones who love solitude need a beanie tethered to the world. 4th, stop apologizing. This is for everyone who's ever felt guilty about preferring a quiet night to a loud one. Who's ever made up excuses to avoid a party? Who's ever said, I'm man? Odd feeling well, when the truth was, I just don't want to go. Stop apologizing for who you are. You don't owe anyone your energy. You don't owe anyone your presence. You don't have to perform extraversion just because someone else thinks that's what living looks like. My grandson, Lucia's boy, Marco, he's in his 30s now, successful, smart, but always running somewhere, always another event, another trip, another thing. He called me a few months ago and said, "Grandpa, how do you just sit there? Don't you get bored? Don't you feel like you're wasting time?" I said, "Marco, I spent 70 years running around. I earned the right to sit, and I'm not bored. I'm present. There's a difference." He didn't understand. Maybe he will someday. But I want you to understand now, a quiet life is not a small life. The people who seem to be everywhere, doing everything, posting everything, they're not living more than you. They're just living louder. Depth and noise are not the same thing. Music, peace, and boredom are not the same thing. Stillness and emptiness are not the same thing. Some of the richest lives I've ever witnessed were lived almost entirely music at home. Now I'm 106 years old. I've outlived almost everyone I started with. My wife is gone. Most of my friends are gone. My body doesn't work the way it used to. My hand does shake. I can't walk more than 4 blocks without needing to rest. And you know what? I'm happy. Not every minute, not every day. There are hard days. There are days I miss Gloria so much I can't breathe. Days I feel the weight of everyone who's gone. But most days I wake up, make my coffee, I sit in my chair, I watch the light come through the window, and music feels something that took me decades to find, contentment, not excitement, not adventure, just music, contentment, just peace. And I finally understand that this is enough, that it was always enough, that all those years I spent thinking I needed more, needed bigger, needed louder. I was chasing something I already had. Home isn't where you wait to die. Home is where you finally get to live on your own terms, at your own pace, in your own way. So if you're someone who loves staying home, truly loves it, not because you're hiding, but because you found something real there, I want you to hear this. You're not missing out. You're not wasting your life. You're not boring or sad or pathetic. You're just someone who figured out what makes you happy. And you're brave enough to choose it even when the world tells you that you should want something different. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. And if you're young and you're watching this reefing thing, that's depressing. I never want to be like that. Music, just wait. Give it time. One day, if you're lucky, you'll understand. One day, You'll turn down an invitation without guilt. One day, you'll spend a whole weekend in your pajamas and feel genuinely grateful. One day, you'll look around your home, your ordinary, quiet home, and realize it's everything you ever needed. And on that day, you'll remember the old man who told you this isn't giving up. This is arriving. Arya Dorchai.